Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we have some news to talk about. First, regarding the next balance update in Clash Royale, when is it coming, as well as a couple of cards that are confirmed to either be nerfed or won't be changed in the next balance update. We also potentially have some news regarding the next big update in Clash Royale, which is scheduled right now to be coming out in early April. So let's go ahead, guys, change to this camera over here. And we have two posts on Reddit to talk about, guys. The first is a blog post by Seth from the Clash Royale team, who is the main balance guy over there. And this blog post here, guys, it talks about 3 Musketeers and Mortar, which are right now the two most kind of talked about cards in the community. And this blog post is very long, so I won't read the whole thing to you guys right now. However, I will leave a link down below to the post itself if you want to read it yourself. It is honestly definitely worth the read. Very, very good post. But the summary of this post here, guys, is that the 3 Musketeers and the Mortar will not be changed in the next balance update. They gave a bunch of different reasons why. For the 3 Musketeers, they start off by saying the reason why they changed it to 10 elixir is they had some crazy high win percentages month after month, and they definitely needed a nerf. However, they do admit that right now, they, as a team, agree that when a player is at 10 elixir and they start leaking elixir, it's clunky, unintuitive, and overly punishing. So they kind of like aren't really happy right now with the current state of 3 Musketeers. But what they do say is that they're kind of discussing right now some different options to kind of like bring them back, including bringing back the elixir overflow, aka the 11th elixir, which if they did add that back into the game, the 3 Musketeers would actually truly cost 10 elixir instead of right now costing 10.5 or more. They've also discussed reverting the nerf and trying out different solutions to balancing the 3 Musketeers, but some of these solutions would require a client update. So as right now, the 3 Musketeers will not be changed in the March balance update. They do admit, guys, they're not happy right now with the state of the 3 Musketeers, but they require a bit more time to find a proper solution. One of the major suggestions that a lot of people in the community kind of say is to change the 3 Musketeers into a different character, like a marksman, and then balance them independently of the regular Musketeer. They do say that for right now, for a variety of reasons, they are not considering this solution. They want to try everything else in their disposal before considering this change, which honestly makes sense. Like if they have to make a brand new card for the 3 Musketeers, then you know, obviously I would think that would take time away from adding other new cards to the game. So it makes sense that they want to try every other possible solution, you know, before considering that one. Now, moving on to the Mortar here. The Mortar right now is one of the hottest talked about cards in the pro and competitive community. Everyone is calling for a nerf for the Mortar. However, when you actually look at the stats of the Mortar, it's perfectly fine. It has a 3% use rate and a 50% win rate in challenges. Even at the top of ladder, where the use rate goes up to 11 to 18%, it still only has a win rate around 50%. So they just, you know, they can't seem to grasp that the notion that this Mortar is this unbeatable, broken OP card, because if it were truly overpowered and truly unbeatable, then the win rates would be insanely high. But the win rates are obviously around 50%, so it's, you know, it's doing pretty well, right? So they do go on to kind of say that the reason why the Mortar is so popular on ladder is because it is a free-to-play deck. A lot of competitive free-to-play players, they go to the Mortar deck because the Mortar is a common card win condition, and it has stuff like Goblin Gang and Bats, etc., which are also common cards and are easy to upgrade. So, you know, even though the win rates are good, the use rates on ladder are a bit higher because it is a free-to-play win condition. But overall, this is right here, guys. The March balance update will not include changes to 3 Musketeers or Mortar. We are not happy with 3 Musketeers, but we are continuing to work on it, and we are currently satisfied with Mortar for now. But if it does change and rise into a position of imbalance, then they will look into nerfs. But for now, it is doing okay in the meta. Here is the most interesting part of this whole blog post, for me at least. It says right here, we do have some very exciting and impactful changes that will have a wide-ranging impact on the meta game. Raging impact, not raging. A wide-ranging impact on the meta game. Yes, the Barbarian Barrel will be nerfed. The next balance update will arrive Monday, March 4th as usual. So, here's what we have confirmed, guys. Yes, Barbarian Barrel being nerfed. No buff for 3 Musketeers and no nerf for Mortar. But I'm more interested right here, what do they mean by very exciting and impactful changes that will have a wide-ranging impact on the metagame? That has me very, very excited. Like, one thing I think this game needs most right now is a solid shakeup of the meta. Because honestly, it feels like, at least for me, it feels like the same decks have been dominating for a while now. Like, it's just always, P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, 2.6 Hog, 2.9 Expo, Golem Night Witch, Mortar Bait, It just feels like all the decks in the meta are the same 10 decks every season, right? So, this definitely has me excited right now, having a big impact on the meta game. That's one thing I definitely feel like we could use more of in balance changes, is just those big, impactful changes. They kind of follow up by saying that, just kind of for your curiosity right now, the top 5 highest win rate cards right now in challenges. Number 1 is Goblin Giant. Number 2 is Snowball. Flying Machines 3. Guards are 4. And then in 5th place is the Battle Ram, Bar Barrel, Bandit, Lava Hound, and Poison being tied. The lowest 5 win rate cards right now are number 1, Witch and Elite Barbarians, Bomb Tower, Rage, Mirror, and Heal. So I know, my last balance video, I think I suggested buffing the Witch, and everyone got crazy. But the Witch right now, guys, is tied for one of the worst win rate cards in the game. So that is the summary, guys, of the balance changes news we have. Moving on to the next big update news, guys, we have another post over here by Clash Royale, which is one of their weekly Reddit posts discussing what they've been up to this past week. And it says here, this week, we've been thinking about / talking about and working on some of the following. They've been discussing the length of a ladder season, should the ladder seasons be themed, and how much story can Clash Royale hold, this is a kind of a cool, topic here. I've often thought to myself, what if the ladders, the ladder seasons on Clash Royale, what if each season had a different set of cards? Then you would guarantee to have a different meta every different season. So it's kind of a cool idea. I have no idea if that's what they're kind of talking about there with the themes, but definitely interested to hear. They've also been discussing, guys, a new game mode called the Mega Deck. Now, I have no idea what this is. If I had to guess, I would say maybe it's a challenge where you build a deck that has more than 8 cards. Like, how cool would that be, guys, if you had 10 or 12 cards in a deck? Or, even crazier idea, what if they had a game mode where you just, your deck was every card in the game? And you just keep cycling through every single card in the game. That would be insane. They've been discussing as well, should 2v2 mode have trophies? What does casual look like for Clash Royale? And should it always be 2v2? And they've also added some new team members to the Clash Royale team. And they're brimming with new card / game mode ideas, which is very exciting to hear. They've been discussing a new card with a pulling mechanic similar to Gene from Brawl Stars. So if you guys don't play Brawl Stars, Gene's ability in Brawl Stars is you can kind of grab a target and pull it towards him. That'd be kind of cool in Clash Royale. They did say that they were playing around with a pull mechanic way back in 2017. This troop also had a trap that you may have been seeing. This was like leaked years ago. However, in the end, this troop did become the hunter, and they dropped the hook and trap mechanic from him. But now we're talking again about the hook. So maybe the next card, or in the future at some point, we could get a cool new legendary card that would pull targets towards itself. I like that idea a lot. I do think that it would have to have a similar thing to like pushback, where I don't think it could just pull a golem to itself. Like, weight would have to matter, I would think. Like, I mean, obviously, depending on how big the troop is. But, like, similar to the NATO spell, right? I would think if they did add a hook, it wouldn't be able to pull a golem the same way it would pull a bat. But that's kind of cool. Basically, what they're saying here, guys, is, you know, this is what's being discussed about. This is being talked about. It's not guaranteed to ever make it into the game. It's just up for discussion right now. Finally, it says we're still aiming to go live with the next client update in early April, but before then, we'll have another balance update for you on March the 4th. So that's the news, guys, that we have. You know, balance changes coming out March the 4th. Barbarian Barrel nerf confirmed. No Mortar nerf. No 3 Musketeer buff. And the next update is scheduled for early April. And I have no idea when I'm going to be in there, but I'm definitely excited for the update because typically their spring update is their biggest kind of game-changing update of the year. And I definitely feel like right now Clash Royale could use something big. So I am very excited for this update. All right, so with the news portion of the video out of the way, guys, what I want to do here is I want to shift our focus back over to this. And I want to share with you guys, as I always do at the end of every month, my balance change wish list for the March balance update. And this one will be a lot less crazy than my last one. If you guys remember, the whole reason I shared with you guys that crazy list last time is I really want to see some shakeup in the meta, some new decks, some new cards going around. Because, you know, as I mentioned before, it definitely feels like it just, you know, for a large, like it just feels like it's the same 10 decks, you know, every season. So I think a big shakeup could be fun. But anyways, guys, let's go on. My nerf list first. Number 1, Barbarian Barrel. It's already been confirmed, but a nerf to Barbarian Barrel would be pretty cool, in my opinion. The other card I want to see nerfed, guys, is the Bandit. The Bandit right now has a 30% use rate as well as a 53% win rate. She's crazy, guys. I mean, obviously, by the way, guys, these are Grand Challenge stats. If you're wondering why not ladder, it's because Grand Challenges are tourney standard and you have equal level gameplay. On ladder, you have different levels. People tend to use under level legendaries, higher level common cards. That stats aren't reliable. But Seth did say as well in that blog post that these stats on these community websites and other ones, they aren't 100% accurate. So, you know, do keep that in mind. But Bandit, I feel like right now, she just gives way too much value for a 3 elixir card. And I feel like she's been pretty low-key strong for a while now. So she is number 2 on my nerf list. I would also like to see a nerf to the Battle Ram. I feel like Battle Ram is just, you know, way too punishing right now. It's 4 elixir. It's, you know, it's way more punishing than a Hog Rider. If somebody goes Hog Rider opposite lane, just, you know, you can defend it with skeletons or whatever, right? Like the Hog Rider isn't nearly as punishing. Battle Ram, though, just does insane damage. So, I don't know. Battle Ram right now is on my nerf list as well. And finally, I would love to see a nerf to either the Bats or the Rascals. The Bats are right here. And the Rascals, they aren't crazy high right now. But they're definitely annoying, guys. They're definitely, I feel like the Rascal Boy could use a bit less health. Because I feel like everyone's complaining about Mortar bait. It's not really the Mortar that's the problem. It's more so just swarm bait in general. And I feel like Bats are a big issue with that. You know, maybe the Rascals as well, like one or the other. But Bats for sure. Because like Bats, like if you don't have Zaspel, the Bats do insane damage, right? So, I don't know. If they nerfed it, I would suggest making the Bats spawn closer together. And that way it isn't as easy for them to be to surround something. But that's it, guys. Those are the only 4 cards. I guess 4 cards on my nerf list. I don't really think there's that many problem cards in the meta right now. Personally, I would love to see more cards buffed than nerfed. You know, besides, you know, the Bar Barrel and the Bandit, you know, those are the main 2. Battle Ram is debatable. You know, the Bats are kind of debatable as well. A Battle Ram and Bandit, or sorry, the Bar Barrel and Bandit for sure are on my nerf list. You know, Battle Ram maybe, Bats, I don't know. I kind of just feel like if you don't have Zaspel, they're way too punishing. But moving on to my buff list here, guys. We have, the first and foremost is the Dark Prince. I feel like Dark Prince right now could definitely use some love for being a splash damage card. It just doesn't really do that well versus splash, you know? Number 2 on my buff list is the Zappies. You guys know. I mean, the Zappies have been, you know, I'm very surprised. Like, I'm honestly, I would have to say shocked that they haven't been fixed. Like, they were nerfed, I think, in September of last year, and they've been really bad since then. I don't know. I'm surprised that, like, you know, they nerfed Cannon Cart back, I think, in October or November of last year, and they fixed it, right? They undid that nerf. They nerfed the Magic Archer in like November or December of last year. They went back and buffed it again. The Zappies, it's just like, where are they? Where's the buff for the Zappies? So that's number 2. Number 3 is right here. The Wall Breakers. They need a buff, and then they need a buff again. Buff them twice. Because right now, they are, I don't know, guys. They aren't overly interesting as a card. They're basically just Bridge Spam, right? We already have Bridge Spam. I mean, I get it. You know, they were added into training camp as a way to introduce new players to the Bridge Spam kind of archetype. I understand that. But they just aren't really that interesting. You know, the last couple of card releases, the Ram Rider, the E-Dragon, the Goblin Giant, the Recruits, they all introduced like a new element to the game. You know, Ram Rider with a snare, the E-Dragon with the Chain Lightning, the Goblin Giant with the double attack, the Recruits with their unique formation. Like, they've all added a unique element to the game. Whereas the Wall Breakers kind of just like, they run, they explode, you know? So I would definitely buff the Wall Breakers and then buff them again on my buff list. And then finally here, guys, you might be surprised, but the Royal Recruits are on my buff list. Right now, their stats aren't that crazy high. I know a lot of people hate this card. I personally really enjoy using it, and I wish they were better. Even at 7 Elixir, they feel a bit weak to me. So I would definitely give them either a small health increase or a small damage increase. But that's it, guys. That's the 8 cards on my balance wish list. You know, nerf the Bar Barrel, nerf the Bandit, nerf the Battle Ram, nerf the maybe the Bats. That one's, it's still debatable. I'm not 100% sold on that, guys. I just feel like the Bats maybe could be contributing a lot to the Swarm Bait meta as like a secretly OP card. And then buffing the Recruits, the Dark Prince, the Wallbreaker, and the Zappies. That's my main 8 cards on my balance wish list. With that being said, guys, one thing that I would really love to see more of in the future, I would love to see more cards get the Royal Giant treatment, as I call it. If you guys remember, the Royal Giant was a really bad card in the game. A lot of people hated it. It was always used like middle of ladder, and people had max level Royal Giants, and it was really frustrating to deal with. Now, the Royal Giant is a viable card in the meta, and it isn't nearly as annoying. What they did with the Royal Giant was they took away the annoyance. They made it way less annoying, but also viable at the same time. I would love to see more cards get that treatment. A couple of cards that I can think of right now. The Barbarians aren't very popular, and they've been weak for a while. So one idea here is to buff the Barbarians at the same time as nerfing the Battle Ram, the Barb Barrel, and the Barb Hut. One way to do this, guys, would be to reduce the Barbarians to cost 4 Elixir, and at the same time reduce all of their stats. And then in the end, you buff the regular Barbarians, but you would also, at the same time, you would be nerfing the Barb Barrel, the Battle Ram, and the Barb Hut, which all 3 of those are, they're strong, guys. They're strong, and the Barb Hut is just annoying. It's just annoying, but it's also good. So that's one idea, is to kind of change the Barbarians to 4 Elixir and reduce their stats a bit, or keep them at 5 and make it so that you get 5 Barbarians for 5 Elixir, and at the same time reduce their stats. So that's one card that I think could use some love. The other one I want to mention is the Wizard. I know last time I suggested buffing the Wizard and everyone went crazy. I think the Wizard could use a similar treatment to the Royal Giant. You know, make it less annoying, but also make it better. Right now, like right now, the Wizard has pretty low stats in Grand Challenges. But it also dominates, like, it's basically the old Royal Giant right now. The Wizard has pretty low stats, but it dominates the middle of ladder and is a very annoying card. What if they redesigned it a bit, you know? What if they made the Wizard cost 4 Elixir and then changed the stats so it wasn't nearly as annoying, right? Because right now, a lot of people kind of been saying that they want a nerf for the Baby Dragon. The Baby Dragon, in my opinion, the only reason why it's way up there and being so popular, it's the only good splash damage card, right? When you look at the top of the list there, how many splash damage cards do you see? It's literally just the Baby Dragon. Now, I feel like, you have the Executioner already a 5 elixir splasher. You have the Witch as a 5 elixir splasher. I feel like the Wizard is a bit of an overlap, especially with the Executioner at 5 elixir. So why not make the Wizard 4 elixir and make it kind of compete more with the Baby Dragon, I don't know, just a crazy idea. But that is another card that I would love to see get the Royal Giant treatment of, make it less annoying, but also make it viable. I know you guys are kind of crazy right now saying, Shane, Wizard, I hate that card, delete it. But I said make it less annoying, right? If they could somehow make it less annoying, but also viable, definitely in favor of that. Oh, one more card, guys. By the way, here's the Mortar. Here's the Mortar that everyone was saying that needs to be nerfed. There it is. Pretty far down below at the bottom of the list, guys. So I gotta say, as someone that previously was asking for a nerf for the Mortar, I gotta say I kind of agree with him. The stats just aren't crazy. But at the same time, guys, Giant. I think that Giant needs his 2% health back. If you guys remember back in the fall of last year, the Giant nerf came out of nowhere. I think, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on this, guys. But I think they were trying to indirectly nerf that Giant 3 Musketeer deck. And I think that now that 3 Musketeers are 10 elixir, I think that Giant could use his health back. I could be wrong on that, but I definitely feel like the Giant could use that little bit of a buff because for a pretty important card in the game, I feel like right now the stats just are a bit low. It's crazy. Like a year ago, a year and a half ago, if you would have said that the Royal Giant is a way better card than the regular Giant, that would have been crazy. But yeah, that's the world we're living right now. So Barbarians and the Wizard right now are the top two. And honestly, guys, I would also say the Elite Barbarians as well would be my top 3 for getting that Royal Giant treatment, That's what I call it. I call it the Royal Giant treatment. But basically just make them less annoying, but also make them good. Like, the Elite Barbarians are such a bad card to use competitively. Like, if you're doing a draft, challenge, like, don't pick E-Barbs. They're bad, right? So if they could make the Elite Barbarians somehow, like, not be annoying, but also be good, redesign them somehow, some way, I'd be in favor of that as well. So anyways, guys, that is the summary of my list. Nerf Bar Barrel, nerf Bandit, maybe nerf Bats, maybe nerf the Battle Ram, buff the Giant, buff the Dark Prince, buff the Recruits, buff the Wall Breakers twice, brought the Zappies. I don't know, guys, let me know down below, what do you think of my balance change wish list? What do you think of the news that was announced today? What do you think of Seth's blog post with the no change for 2 Musketeers, no Mortar nerf? What do you think of that jazz? What is your own personal balance wish list for March? What are 8 cards, only 8, that you want to see buffed or nerfed in the next balance update, guys? Feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. But anyways, guys, that is the end of the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my Clash Royale content. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.